Well, welcome back. And if you tuned in late, my guest is Dr. Roger Rhoades, who is a family therapist. And we're talking about stress, and it's something that wherever you are, you got it. We all do. And we put ourselves into this position. I think sometimes we all have stress, but sometimes we can control more of it than we let ourselves.
Right.
We get pulled into things that when we don't have the courage to say, I can't do that.
Amen. Amen. The courage to make the healthy choice.
Yeah.
And in the break, we were talking about your grandmother, who was a single mom. Okay.
She was left a widow when she was
Right,
young with three
exactly.
small children
And she
and
made
very
it.
little money.
Right, but she made it,
All right,
didn't she?
one thing she had that people today don't have, she had the support, and I don't mean a lot of money, but she had the support of family around her. Nowadays, I mean, they all lived in the same community. Nowadays, people are all over the place.
Right.
So, and that makes a big difference. If you have family in California and you're hurting here.
That sounds like a big difference. But the bigger difference, okay, is that I bet your grandmother was helpable. See, one of the things that's the problem now is that some people won't accept help.
Oh.
If it's not given exactly the way they want it to. You know, I got to get this amount at this place in this way, and my kids aren't doing this. I'm not living here. I'm not putting up with this. Well, I guarantee you, your grandmother didn't say that.
Yeah.
You know, it's if I've got to eat this, if I've got to cook this, if I've got to dig ditches to make sure my kids get taken care of, I'm going to do it. And when people, it wasn't about money, it was about help. If people came to help me, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, I'll do what it takes because I appreciate your help. See, but we've come to a place where we demand things of people and we don't have a very good attitude. And we act like we deserve it. I deserve this. I deserve that. Well, who wants to help that person?
Yeah.
Very few people. And that's a big difference. We look at, oh, they moved here, they moved there. Well, a lot of times kids move, family moves because they wear out. They're saying, I tried to help them and they were unhelpable. I tried to give them stuff. You know, I gave them a couch. They didn't like the couch. Wrong color. Wrong style. Well, so they'd rather, and I've heard people even say this, I'd rather sit on the floor than sit on your old couch. And we're not the kind of people who are used to living with an old couch or an old bed or hand-me-down clothes. But I guarantee you, I don't know your grandmother, but I'll tell you right now, if somebody offered her clothes used with a hole in it, her first words out of her mouth, thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
We've forgotten to be gracious and to be thankful.
Yes.
I really believe that.
And that makes a big difference. And that's a discipline. And you have to make a choice to do that. You have to say, wait a minute, I've got to really check at the door my attitude. And I need to ask myself a big question. Am I helpable? See, there's a lot of people who people want to help, but they're just not helpable. Not because people aren't willing to help them, they're not willing to take the help people are willing to give them because it's not the way they planned it. And so one of the things that's important here that we're talking about is all of this makes life very hard, Peggy. And a lot of people are living a life that makes it hard for them and hard for their kids and hard for the people around them.
All right. Now, we all have stress. That's part of living.
Yes.
But if you are in a stressful situation,
Right.
whether you are overworked, if you're a single mom and you're trying to do it all, what is the answer? How do you back away and have less stress? How do you do it?
You're going to hate this. You're going to hate this.
All right.
Okay. Think back when you had people who were young boys growing up in high school who who were out of hand, who were a handful. That was the word they used.
Yeah.
That boy's a handful. Did people just say, well, we want the best for them. I hope they do well. I hope they make it. Is that what society did? No. Society said what? That boy needs to go to the Army. If I had somebody that's in jail who hadn't murdered somebody but wasn't following the rules, what did the judge say? Put him in the Army. Why? Because the Army taught people discipline. You had to get up at a particular time. You had to go to bed at a particular time. You had to wear a uniform. You had to learn courtesy. Wow. And so they raised many generations of men that were basically worthless. Their family had given up on them. But society said, no, man, we're going to get in and we're going to put them in a system. Now we don't have that, but the system works. You have to kind of put yourself in the military. You've got to say, wait a minute, I'm going to get a day timer. And I'm going to,
That's what you have right there.
Yes, and markers. And I put blue for
Hold
sleep.
on. Let people see what you're talking about.
Yeah, see?
Okay.
It's a day timer. And so what you would do is you would just say, well, I'm going to cross out 8 hours. And during these 8 hours, that's sleep. And my kids know this. At this time, one of the things I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off TV. I'm going to turn off all the electronic equipment. What's kids going to do? Big deal. But once it becomes a habit, they won't. That's just what we in our family do. We turn off TV.
So you spend time, you talk, you read a book, you read the Bible, you read,
And they've got to see you making the tough decisions and living the tough decisions. Nothing worse than, I want you to go to bed at 8. No, I'll go to bed when I feel like it. I want you to have this rule, but I'm going to have, no. There's such a thing as a family rule. We in our family, we do this. We in our family, we do that. Wow, now it makes the kids apart. And you're a team, and you're working together. And what happens? Before we know it, we look up, and where's our stress? Now, does this mean we've got more? No. We don't have any more than anybody else.
All right, Roger, what do? We're caught up in all this swirl of activity, and some of it is useful and some of it is necessary. But how do you get away and get back to, yes, sure, you have to do basic things to maintain your life and have food on the table and keep a job and do what's, but how do you divide and say, okay, now this I've done and this is necessary, but then I'm going to have some time to be with my family, to be with husband and wife, to share, to talk. How do you make it happen?
You first have to prioritize. You have to say, I've got to do the best things first, okay? And one of the habits we need to get into is we need to sleep properly. Because when you sleep, health-wise you do better, attitude-wise you do better, how you deal with other people do better, and you just flat perform better. You're a better employee if you get a proper amount of rest.
All right.
So all of a sudden, I've got to sit down and say, wait a minute, I'm going to sleep from here to here. We're all going to sleep. At 8 o'clock, lights out. And we're going to go to bed. And then at this time, we're going to get up. And
in other words, we need to get a routine.
Without a doubt, routine is so powerful. Getting a habit of a routine where we're doing first things first. We're making sure that we are sleeping well. We're making sure that we're doing the right things first. I love it. Like I have 5 grandkids, okay? And I love their grandmother because they come in, she picks them up at school, and they're like, they're jumping up and down. And she said, oh, I'm glad you guys are wanting to have fun. But we got to do homework first. Oh, and they're like, oh, no, I I can't believe you got to do all
First things first.
Yeah, there we go. And you can't do what you love to do. I want to sit for hours on the computer, and I want to talk to somebody in East Biloxi who I've never met. Well, that's going to cost you.
Okay.
See, you need to suck it up and say no to that.
We need to prioritize and
Yes.
say, this is what's important, and we'll do this first, and if there's some time left over, then we'll venture into something else. They're giving me all kinds of signals, Roger.
Yeah, you and me, man. We just go on with
Dr. Roger
an
Rhoades,
afternoon show.
family therapist. And as a man, he's filled with just common sense, and we just stop and think about the things he shares with us, okay? So we have to cut it off, right? You're giving me signals.
Yes, that's right.
So we can say, thank you. Thank you for letting us be a part of your day.